Here's what I learned from coaching real people that are living real life, not Instagram models that you see that are looking extremely good on Instagram, and their full-time job is to actually be on Instagram and look great. So normal people don't work that way. Normal people are someone who's sitting in the office, someone who's in cybersecurity, someone who's sitting and writing books, or a dentist, or a doctor, not someone who has a full time to look pretty on social media and their income depends on their looks. So you see a lot of online hype by influencers and Instagram models promoting one thing about fitness or another, that this exercise is the best, this supplement is the best, this food is the best. Like all that is nonsense. In reality, it doesn't really work and it confuses a lot of people. Where then when we move on like a shop floor or in the hands-on client experience, people like myself have to help to navigate for normal people like yourself through all that clutter that Instagram influencers made you believe, but it doesn't necessarily work in the real world or in a real environment when it comes down to sitting in front of the desk from 9 to 5 and not being able to move or hit the gym 6 days a week. So when it comes to normal people exercising, and if we're not looking at Instagram hypes or Instagram models, our needs are fundamentally different. So we don't have as much time for training, or our income doesn't necessarily depend on how good we look. So you don't have that much time through your day to focus on exercise. And the needs of real people in real jobs are fundamentally different than, like I said, Instagram models. And one of the things that springs to mind is just simply a busy mom who's working in a job, has 2 kids to look after. She simply doesn't have time to prepare meals for herself or separately prepare meals for her husband, etc., etc. So, most of the time, normal people need to fit fitness into their current lifestyle, which becomes extremely challenging because we're just simply very busy. And if you if I'm thinking about one of my clients who's in a very high role within a certain school charity, she is constantly in the meetings, constantly working, and then she has 3 kids to take care of. So when it comes down to trying to get her to exercise 6 days a week and then meal prep for 6 days a week, it's almost impossible because then if she would do that, her family time with kids would suffer, and simply it that improvement in her health may not be worth considering the cost that it will come on the whole family. And that's how most people who live normal lives live. And we have to fit fitness into your lifestyle. So how does that look like? Well, when you cook food or when you prepare lunches to your kids and things like that, it doesn't have to be very different to what you eat. All you have to do is to actually start incorporating a little bit more fruits and vegetables and prioritizing protein. So, simply, if you're having like something like whatever, chicken curry with coconut milk, some simple fixes may be using reduced fat coconut milk and using chicken breast instead of a chicken thigh. And these small changes will actually mean that you can still eat with family. Your family also enjoys healthier meals. And overall, it doesn't feel that overwhelming because that's the food that you would be cooking through anyways. And this is how we have to look into fitness with normal people. Now, one thing I really like is, for example, one of my clients, he goes to his daughter's football practice. That's normal because pretty much every parent that I know actually takes their kids to football practice. And my client, during that, practice, he either goes for a run or he just walks around the field while his daughter is playing football. And that's amazing because that allows him to incorporate some exercise while he's actually having his daughter to exercise and train football. So that's kind of shooting two birds with one stone. So it means he doesn't have to get out of his way that day to actually do some cardio separately or do some gym activities because he's incorporating some activity in what I call dead time. Because if you're taking your daughter to play football, you physically cannot necessarily do much. So most parents end up scrolling on their phones at that time. And you probably, if you're a parent and taking your kids to practice, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about because you can see other parents scrolling through the phone at their cars just waiting for their kids to finish. But instead, you can just simply go and do some activity during that time, which will allow you to shoot two birds with one stone and get some exercise in. Now, one of the most surprising lessons that I've learned when I started training, I personally thought that it's all about knowing the exercises, it's all about knowing calories and micronutrients. But at the end of the day, none of that matters if you cannot inspire or motivate your client to actually do those things, to actually start eating healthier, to start exercising a little bit more, to start including some daily movement, sleeping more. But the thing is, my idea on what coaching is completely changed. I thought it's about knowing all the details about health, like about fitness, exercises, and gym. But to be honest, what coaching is actually helping people to come to a conclusion that adjusting their lifestyle will lead to general improvement in their day-to-day life. And this is the biggest challenge that all coaches come across. We don't need to know every single, amino acid name or every single exercise in the gym. We need to motivate our clients to make those changes. And it's less about my knowledge, is about more about leading the person to a conclusion that they're making a good decision by trying to improve their health and fitness, by trying to improve their strength and things like that. So you have to be a very good motivator, and that's something that I was struggling to understand when I first started as a coach. One more thing that I also learned, a lot of before and after pictures on internet is, I mean, they're either coaches are borrowing someone else's stories, or the pictures that you see is really pay attention in a lot of before and afters. It's mostly, well, not mostly, but some of it's just basically playing around with the lighting, that I can play around how I look on the camera with the lighting, and I can move that light around or this one, and I can look better or worse on camera. And then another thing is body positioning. So if I take my side picture, chin down, slouched, it will look like I have more of a belly and a double chin. But if my lip lift my chin up, shoulders back, chest up, my stomach will look much flatter. It will look like I don't have double chin. And then if I adjust the lighting, it will look like I have more of a six pack than I actually do in reality. So this is another thing that I learned, that half of the transformation stories that you see on the internet is just playing around. And to be honest, saying that, this is a visual kind of, it's a visual before and after. The before and after that I'm looking for in my clients is psychological, because I want my clients to understand that starting to work on their health will improve their day-to-day life. And when we go and train for 6 weeks, 3 months, and even longer, people notice that same, like, simple things through the day-to-day life, like tying up the shoes, walking upstairs, going for a walk. These things become easier as you get stronger, and that's the before and after that I'm looking for. I want people to feel the benefits of the exercise and make the conclusions themselves, because that that visual before and after, yes, it will get someone in through the door and it will get them motivated, but the real before and after happens here, and adjusting that mindset that exercise is something that I do on a daily basis to make myself feel better. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be tied in with a certain before and after in terms of weight loss or yeah, like mostly weight loss or muscle gain. Of course, this is a nice thing to have, and that's what we all should be aiming for if the person wants to lose weight. But the real change is psychological by people understanding how beneficial that exercise is within their lives, that how it makes their lives better. And yeah, like the before and after that I'm looking for in my clients is psychological, even though physical is a nice to have. And the thing is that it leads to some funny discussions with the clients, like, oh, why I'm not like not losing a certain amount of weight within the certain period of time. And to be honest, it mostly comes down to not being in a calorie deficit and or drinking more wine than you're telling me. Like, these are generally the funny conversations that we have in the studio. But if you want to lose weight, the calorie deficit is the most important part of your weight loss journey. But if you want to improve your overall health, it doesn't necessarily mean that the weight loss will be one of the things that you have to aim for. Generally, getting stronger is also a good thing for your body to do, even though it doesn't necessarily mean that you will lose weight or the desired amount of weight. But I hope this video helped you to understand that there is more to fitness than transformations and what real coaching on a day-to-day looks like. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will enjoy this one. So go and watch it, and I'll see you in the next one.